Alright, enjoy part 2 of The Mind of Jake Paul. Good luck. Okay, our Uber is here. Alright, Gino, wish me luck. Okay, I love you.
Bye. Good luck.
Thank you.
Find out if we're all psychopaths.
Hello YouTube friends, it's been a very long time. It's Iris, and this is my fiance Skylar. Hi. And I am going to give a brief response to the Shane Dawson documentary. Both of us have diagnosed ASPD and DID. I was not contacted once by anyone, and that's really the only drama I have with Shane.
Hey everybody, today I want to talk to you about the word psychopath, so stay tuned.
What do you think?
I think that there's got to be some reason why somebody can be as, I don't know what the word is, outgoing, negatively outgoing as him.
I love you. I love you.
Whatever it is probably runs in the family because his brother.
Right.
But Logan, I feel like, is more likable. Right? Like, not as many people hate him. Good. Do you know who Jake Paul is?
That's to me?
Yeah. No? Doing like a little documentary thing about whether or not he's a sociopath.
Oh yeah, I heard you talking about it, yeah.
Have you met any sociopaths?
I meet a lot of people, but I don't know if I met a sociopath. Yeah, how do you tell somebody's a sociopath? What are the symptoms?
Well, from what I've read, they're instantly likable, but they don't have real emotions, and everything they do is kind of an act, and they just want to manipulate people. All right, here we go. And oh my God! $30,000. This is insane. Okay, 94 bids. Who's the highest? Fizmar in Fiji. Okay, you know, my underwear have never been to Fiji. They've never even been near a beach. I mean, my underwear's used to wetness. Follows me. Follow that?
You don't follow? I guess it would make sense that you don't follow him. Why would you follow him? Oh, that is literally the most haunting thing I've ever seen in my life.
So this is his girlfriend, right? Erica. I know that.
Yeah, Jerica's their shit name, I guess.
That has to be fake. Like, that is the most fake relationship. Right?
It doesn't look real.
Oh, he likes animals, so that's good. Or is he pretending to like animals?
Who's that with him?
Justin Roberts. That's Justin Roberts. I mean, whoever Justin Roberts is, he has his own private plane. I have so many questions.
Seriously.
have a giraffe? Is that for real?
What is that?
Do they actually have a giraffe?
I don't think so.
What's up, buddy? Yo, say hi to the Jake Paulers.
Maybe.
Am I gonna meet a giraffe?
Weird.
I mean, this picture, that looks like two fucking straight up sociopaths planning their next move. Oh, the caption. Let's go. Thanks. Let's go.
I'm gonna be famous, dude. Morning, New York! Accept me, love me!
What is wrong with you?
Hey, you back!
I could have died.
I'm doing good, right? Should I keep on going?
Thank you so much.
I would like to specifically call out Andrew, Shane's editor. I am really, really, really disappointed in you, Andrew. As a fan. Not as a sociopath. I can remove myself from all of that because of my disorder, and I am disappointed in you as a fan. And I'm also disappointed in Shane for letting the video get put up, and Katie for not speaking to a single person with ASPD, because I really don't think they did. It didn't sound like it.
Are you filming? Yeah. Oh, I was just saying, I feel like I'm about to get on a roller coaster right now.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Originally, we were going to talk about YouTubers.
Yeah.
And if you have to be kind of a sociopath to be a YouTuber, or have some type of, personality disorder, sociopaths.
Yes. Now I know many people have argued that there is a difference between psychopaths, sociopaths, and those with antisocial personality disorder. But as far as the DSM is concerned, as well as my training and the research that I did on the topic, they're all really the same. The only real diagnosis for these things is antisocial personality disorder. However, just like any other mental illness, everyone will experience it differently. This means that some people will have all their criteria, while others will only have some.
There's a lot of confusion about the words sociopathy and psychopathy, and they are both synonyms for ASPD, but they are two very different things. So sociopathy is what I have. I am a diagnosed sociopath. And what that means is that I have ASPD, and I had childhood trauma, and that is probably the reason why I have ASPD. And sociopathy. When you are a psychopath, typically there is no childhood trauma. You showed very, very early signs of no empathy and lack of guilt or remorse, and that could be, being a bully, making fun of peers, hurting animals, even as far as killing animals.
You came on my podcast, and you were very clued in. Like, you knew that I had struggled with an eating disorder.
I look in the mirror and I see a huge person.
What is body dysmorphic disorder, and how do we know if we have it?
So then you might even be friends with them because you don't know you're being manipulated.
You knew by even looking at me. You're very intuitive about all that. So that's why I wanted to talk to you about this, because I feel like if anybody could tell me what to look for, it would be you. Because I feel like, do you spot them?
I would never speak to any of you that way, ever. Shout at you or assume the worst without knowing you, or assume the worst without knowing you, or assume the worst without knowing you.
The only thing I really know about Katie is actually the video she made about sociopaths. That is the whole reason I actually made my video, because on YouTube there was not a single video about ASPD or sociopathy that was coming from a neutral standpoint. So I wanted to make one. I was actually really mad when I made that video.
You can feel them. I don't know if you can really spot that.
I hated that. Oh my god. Okay, what do you mean you can feel that?
It's like you said, roller coaster. That's a perfect way to set it up, because it's almost like when you're around people like this, it's if you sense what I sense, I guess, about them, it's like a pit in your stomach. Like it's that feeling, but just from them being around.
Ooh. Okay. So besides the feeling,
The most common jobs of sociopaths are teachers, psychologists or therapists, ew, right? Priests or pastors, divorce lawyers, doctors, actors or influencers, HR directors, and high school coaches.
I don't like I was watching some videos on YouTube just to get an idea on how to structure this about ASPD, and they all wrote ASPD off as people being abusive monsters and people that you need to avoid. And yes, there are people with ASPD that are dangerous and will hurt you that you should avoid. Typically, those people are unaware of the fact that they have ASPD, and they're typically lower functioning. They might be in prison, stuff like that. If the person is aware that they have ASPD and you're still seeing some red flags and they're not in treatment and they're not trying to better themselves, they're not trying to make, kind of shape their systems into things that can be healthy, run. Run away as fast as you can, because those people will hurt you.
so besides the feeling, what are the characteristics, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it. A lot of it is just the main thing that people talk about is like they have no empathy. And I think that's a hard thing for people to actually fully understand, because most of us don't have this issue, so we feel for other people.
Yeah.
There are certain people that I can feel empathy for, and I can feel guilt or remorse for. That's very typical in ASPD, that they might have very, very close friends who understand their disorder and understand why they do the things that they do. And those people, you don't want to fuck with. It's like, newsflash, we actually do have feelings. The way the human brain and our neurology works, humans, they have feelings. You don't need to go to 8 years of school to know how basic chemical structure works.
For instance, the other day I was in my car and I'm driving and there's this little old lady that started to get into the crosswalk, and I was like, honey, you got like 12 seconds. I'm worried. I hope people wait for you and like pay attention.
Right.
You know, a sociopath would just be like, ugh. Like it wouldn't worry. There's no worry for her. They don't have any empathy for the situation for her. They wouldn't, if someone kicked a dog and they saw it, they wouldn't feel anything for it. They just have no empathy.
But people that can't feel emotional empathy aren't monsters. There's a thing called cognitive empathy. Most people with ASPD can experience cognitive empathy.
And I know I'm talking about like bad things, but also good things. Like they just don't, like imagine if you lived in a world in your brain where anything that happened to other people, you didn't really care about it at all. You didn't care how they felt. You didn't care what happened to them, as long as it didn't affect you.
Empathy isn't something we have endless vats of, and that's for two reasons, okay? So let's break it down. The first is, and this is what was most interesting to me, is that empathy as a whole is a great thing, right? And we always think of it as something that we should all be. We should feel for others. We should help others, right? We should be like Mother Teresa. We should do all these things. And so we see it as something that we all should strive for. With that being said, we can't be empathic to everyone. That could really fuck us up.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, that's hence the, like, ugh, that feeling. Like, ugh, that feeling. Like,
What is it?
technically speaking, a lot of like clinicians like myself would call it antisocial personality disorder.
Hey everyone, it's Iris, and I am going to talk to you about antisocial personality disorder, which is my diagnosis. Hey everyone, it's Iris, and I am going to talk to you about antisocial personality disorder, which is my diagnosis, along with bipolar 1 and an anxiety disorder. So there's a lot of misconceptions about antisocial personality disorder, and I'm going to talk about those. I'm going to talk about the symptoms, and I'm going to talk about my personal experience with the disorder. So the symptoms, I'm also going to explain what the symptoms actually look like in real life and not just on paper.
So what are like the bullet points, for example, like in a book, what would it say? Now, today's episode, I sit down with therapist Katie Morton to talk about the psychology of Jake Paul.
Sociopaths believe that like the law doesn't apply to them and like the rules don't apply to them. They're like above it, and they're so important to everybody else that like they'll get away with it, like nobody will care.
I think you should know, while we were shooting the episode, I got arrested. Okay.
We're getting pulled over.
Oh my god.
He made me put my hands on the dashboard. Why? Am I threatening?
Do you have your ID, ma'am?
I have a warrant out for my arrest, and he just pulled us over and let us all go.
So they always just think they're better, bigger, more important than everybody else. Like, for instance, failure to conform to social norms.
But check this out. Delinquent tax due. Whoa. Annual tax assessment $250. Tax due is $503. So her tax account is delinquent.
With respect to lawful behavior. So they're usually like
getting into fights.
She ended up starting a full-on fight with Nikki.
Stealing.
After stealing a tube of lip gloss, Megan Fox went on a crime spree at her local Walmart.
And it could go as far as murder.
Simpson arrested for the murder of his wife Nicole and her friend Ron Goldman.
Failure to conform to social norms. That sounds really vague, but in the DSM, it is very specific. And I'm going off of the DSM-5, which is typically the one that is used to diagnose these disorders, which this is in the cluster B, personality disorders, which is dramatic, emotionally unstable, etc. In that cluster, there's borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, and histrionic personality disorder. So failure to conform to social norms. What that means is that you do illegal things that could possibly get you arrested. Now, those illegal things could range from smoking pot. I'm not kidding. That could qualify you. Smoking pot, owning illegal knives, getting into fights, stealing, and it could go as far as murder. So it's anything that puts you on the grounds for arrest. You do not have to be incarcerated or arrested to qualify for diagnosis.
So using anything they can to get their needs met. People aren't people, they're just tools to be used in their life for their game, whatever it is.
I'm nervous. Are they gonna be mad at me? I don't know. I put my fucking name on this thing. I'm on the flyer. I'm right next to Bella fucking Thorne and like whoever else. Like, was it partially my fault for not doing my research and being like, oh, what the fuck is this company? Is this even real? I guess I should have thought about that. I don't know.
But now that I have a child that I hired. Okay. So like to a sociopath, the world is a chess game.
Yes.
And all the pieces are people.
And they don't care about them. There's no empathy for them. Remember that. They're just tools. Can I use that to help me get what I want?
And we also talk about my issues and the fact that I probably need more therapy. So that's why I'm excited to once again say that today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. This is something I really think is great and something I actually really believe in. So BetterHelp is a service and an app where you can get affordable and private online counseling whenever you want. Like I've said before, going to a therapist office or sitting down with a counselor can be kind of intimidating and a little scary, which is why I love this, because you can just be on your phone, you don't have to go in anywhere, and you can just set up your appointment. You can message them when you want to talk. It's just really easy and it's great. So you'll fill out a questionnaire and then they'll match you to a counselor. And then you can get started getting counseling on your computer or your smartphone or your tablet. That being said, if you're in a crisis or you're in danger, this is not the site to use. I will put all those links in the description as well. So if you want to check it out, I'll put the link right at the top of the description below. It's betterhelp.com/Shane.
As you can see, you know what? There is no citation for the article, but you know what there is? A fucking link to tryonlinetherapy.com/Katie Morgan. Excuse me, Morton. Can you guess what Try Online Therapy was the precursor of?
No, tell me.
BetterHelp.com.
So, for instance, people who would have antisocial personality disorder would be extremely rude to any help people. So they tend to be like really quick and like angry and irritable and like push them off.
Leaders. So like, for example, if it was a YouTuber, they would probably be rude to fans. No, because they want something.
They give them something, yeah. Right. Because the main two things that they usually want is power and money.
And I'm gonna be the biggest entertainer on the planet. I wanna be the first social media billionaire.
So with fans comes power and money.
Buy that merch. Buy that merch.
But if a fan died or a fan was hurt, they wouldn't care.
Not really. But if it meant that they could make a video about it and get more views and get more fans.
To say that. Oh my god, that's the window.
That's the window. I've already talked to one girl, Caitlin. I saw a video she posted where she was showing her sunburns. She was talking about like how she flew out to meet specifically me and you guys, my friends. So I met up with her. I took a picture with her, and you can see her sunburn in the picture.
Jake Paulers, I don't know how to say this, but like we lost.
Huh? A phone call. Oh my god. I just got a text. Oh my god.
Jake Paulers, I don't know how to say this, but like we lost a member of the Jake Pauler family today. I don't know if you guys remember Mackenzie, who we did a Make-A-Wish with, but she's like the sweetest girl ever. Today she passed away. I don't know how to, like, I've never gone through something like this before, so like I don't know how to cope with it, but it's insane to have been with someone and then like at such a young age and then less than like weeks later like they're not here, and like she was such like a amazing girl and so nice and sweet and positive, and she's a one of us, bro. She's like a Jake Pauler, and I'm sorry. I guess she's in a better place now. She deserves nothing but the best. I know instead of watching the vlogs now, she's gonna be. I mean, I feel like she's here right now, watching over us as we vlog. She was the perfect example of someone who lived her life to the fullest every day and smiled every day no matter what was going on in her life, And it's like so true. It's like that's what we represent. Like if you're a guy, Jake Paul, or if you're a girl, Jake Paul, or like whoever you are, like feel free to get emotional. Like dude, like don't hold back your feelings, and like all you can do in life is smile and get better every day. Like as you break it down, I have all the things in the world. I have a house, I have cars, whatever it is, and like none of that matters. It's all about like your friends and family and having fun. I know Mackenzie just wants us to remember her for like the amazing girl she was, and her smile and her red lipstick and all the positivity she brought and the light she brought into the room. And I'll never forget her. And I'm sure you guys won't either. Mackenzie, rest in peace. However, Jake Paulers, I'm dedicating like today to Mackenzie, and she would just all want us to smile and dab on them haters, I guess. But I don't even want to say, I don't even want to vlog anymore. But I'll see you guys tomorrow because it's every day, bro. Peace.
Isn't that creepy? It's so creepy. It's like, we're gonna have to take a shower after this.
Yeah.
Shane called me and asked if he could come over and just film me telling him how I would go about diagnosing a sociopath.
You can feel them. I don't know if you can really spot them.
I'm really not sure why a licensed marriage and family therapist would say such things as, ew, gross, I need to shower after this.
Then they also are impulsive, so failure to plan ahead. They'll want to do things and then not do things on a whim, which is what makes them a little dangerous. I always think impulsive is like a dangerous thing for both them and the people around them, you know?
That sounds...
Impulsivity. People with ASPD are very, very impulsive. And that usually is just explained as a failure to plan ahead. So that could range anything from impulsively engaging in self-destructive behaviors, which could be cutting, binge drinking, doing drugs, doing something completely crazy, and again, it could go as far as murder, but it usually doesn't. So it's just you're very, very, very impulsive. You don't think before you act.
Like someone we know. But they don't have emotions, so like they wouldn't cry.
They might if they thought it made them fit in or like get what they want.
She might be physically gone now, but her music will forever continue to make people feel accepted and not judged and not alone. Thank you, Christina, for every beautiful moment, and thank you for every beautiful song.
Because they're deceitful.
Okay. So sociopaths, so they don't have emotions. Do they pretend to have emotions?
Yes, because they'll mimic to fit in to get what they want.
Okay. So they're pretending to laugh, they're pretending to cry.
If they, like, let's say, for instance, we're talking about YouTube, so if they're watching a ton of YouTube videos and they would see how other people responded, they might even read the comments to see how people react to that kind of a video, and then they'd mimic that in order to let's say someone was super successful and they did story time videos, for instance, and I'm not calling anybody out, I'm just saying if they saw that someone was doing this, they're like, oh, they got so many views, and like the people in the comments really feel for them, and then maybe they'll buy more merch or whatever, right? Power, money. Then they'll be like, oh, I could do that too. I can mimic that.
Until I see you guys next time, stay gorgeous.
So they learn like what gets people ahead, what type of behaviors, what type of emotional responses get what they want.
Now, for example, like, not to, I don't want to say this person's a sociopath because I don't know, but like Logan Paul, for example, the dead body thing was bad.
Oh my god, he's hanging. Bro,
But to me, the weirdest part of it was when he was talking about it in the video and talking about suicide prevention. There was like a really loud, sad song playing the whole time. It was
like I said earlier, suicide, mental illnesses, depression.
To me, it was like, oh, this is sad. I'll put a sad song. So, not saying he's a sociopath, but like that's something that a sociopath would do, right? Be like,
Totally.
oh,
Yeah, because that would be like mimicking behavior. We have to think of like, because that would make it feel, it elicit the response maybe he's wanting.
Suicide is not the answer. Literally, guys, what I preach every day is being a maverick. Like, it's okay to be different. It's okay to be unique. In fact, I encourage you to do that. If you're not a part of the Low Gang, make sure to subscribe.
Again, not saying he's necessarily a sociopath, but like, that would be what sad music. I mean, we all know even on YouTube, and it'll say like sad. It like kind of tells you what the music is.
Yeah.
Who pick it according to that.
That's crazy.
Wait.
If somebody didn't know like how to be emotionally, they would just go to the audio library and like literally click the emotion.
Just pick the emotion that they want people to feel.
Do they not know? Like, would they, if a YouTuber is a sociopath and they're making an apology video.
I first want to apologize to my brother.
So they just type in sad and they pick one?
I in no way meant to like hurt his feelings.
Would they not know what a sad song was?
They might know it just because of society. Think about like radio DJs will be like, oh, here's a sad song about a lost lover. I mean, I don't know. So they probably learned, but I think what they don't have knowledge of is what it is to experience that emotion.
Oh, wow. When a sociopath cries, do other people not feel anything? Because I've been around some people who have cried in front of me, and not like in a video or anything, just in real life, and I'm like, why do I not feel anything? I don't feel anything right now.
It could
Is
be.
that a sign?
So as you can see, I got a tear to come out.
Because if they're mimicking, they are honing their craft kind of. So if they're not very good at it, they won't elicit the right response out of you.
Her fans are not having it.
Because they're not really that good at doing it.
Everyone says that the sociopath is such a great actor, but when we take pictures of people, they're caught off guard. They don't have time to put the mask on. So the eyes look dead, and they have this creepy, weird, fake smile, or their eyes will be dead, but then the mouth will do this.
Oh, this is Katie Morton. You have the video pulled up, correct?
Her eyes look so dead.
It's just off. Something's off.
Okay. What's next?
We're only halfway through.
Derp. Derpity derp 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 derpity derp 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 derpity derp 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 derpity derp 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 derp.
I am the queen of the universe.
I can see the Statue of Liberty from here.
To make sure.
I understand, like, what is happening, Mr. Beard?
Sorry, beautiful bastard.
I can't stand it when she touches me. This is like the worst. People say that time heals all wounds.
Oh God. Why have
Irritability and aggressiveness is indicated by repeated physical fights or assaults.
As this is not the first time she's been caught on video throwing a shoe in a fight.
And everybody's like, oh my God, like the inner anger is coming out. My mom would say throughout my life, like, now Shane, you have this thing inside of you. And you just got to be careful.
And next is reckless disregard for the safety of self or others. So they don't really care what happens to them. Because again, like, remember, they don't have any empathy. They don't have any feeling. They don't have feelings like we do in the same way. So they really don't care if something bad happens.
You do not care about what happens to you at all.
As his lawyer spoke to the press, Simpson goofed around, making faces like he didn't have a care in the world.
So like, okay, for example, if they were on a plane and everybody's feeling turbulence. It's like, oh, the plane's about to go down. They wouldn't even really care.
Not necessarily.
It's just like, oh, the game is over. They drive fast, probably. Like, do drugs, drink,
Probably.
do things that harm their
Usually.
body because they don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, because they don't care.
Tattoos.
Probably.
Terrifying too.
No. Yes, off camera. And then it says, if combined with alcohol, can cause slow breathing and possibly death.
That on the ass? Do you do this often? Tattoos on the inside of lips? Not often.
Okay, I found a reference picture. They put their friends in bad places, so that would be like...
Yeah, like think of YouTube, like if they were doing like challenges, they wouldn't care if it was like really dangerous for someone or like hurt someone.
But if we can get a trampoline and jump in the middle of traffic, that would be so fire. Let's do this.
Or like consider, not that we're saying like the Paul brothers are sociopaths at all, but like wasn't it Jake Paul that like lit a huge fire in his pool with like furniture and stuff? They could have burned the house down, or the people's home next door who could have been sleeping. Like for God's sake, they don't consider that.
A lot of people can fall into that category, putting their friends in harm without caring.
Yeah. Then we have consistent irresponsibility. They don't know what it's like to be responsible because they don't care about how that affects other people. Let's say they got kicked out of their house and that meant that all the people that live with them were kicked out too. They'd be like, whatever, I'll figure it out. Because they don't care about themselves.
Consistent irresponsibility, which I don't really feel like I need to explain that because it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll just give a couple examples. It could be something as simple as never turning in your assignments on time for school. It could be so bad that you get fired from your job.
But this last one is lack of remorse.
We are all responsible for our actions. And if you were offended by any of my statements or descriptions, I'm sorry, that was completely not my intention. You know, I'm sorry if you were hurt. My longtime audience knows I have no problem saying I'm wrong or that I'm sorry.
You know, I'm sorry if you were hurt.
So like, let's say they're being reckless and people get hurt, they don't give any shits about it.
Okay, so for example, if the YouTuber, try not to be too on the nose with this, but like,
if somebody got hurt during a prank or during a
You got
video or doing something for them, they wouldn't care. They don't feel bad. Like TanaCon, for instance, with you felt such remorse.
Yeah.
You were like, oh my God, people were outside. This is terrible. I feel terrible. I'm gonna find a way to reimburse people. Someone who fit this would be like, nah, whatever. Fuck them. That would be their whole mentality. They might even be like they bought tickets and they were taking a risk. Like they just try to they'd rationalize it. Like they would blame others because they try to rationalize it out to make it not their fault because they just don't really care.
this wasn't my convention, okay? I wasn't a part of the planning. I wasn't a part of anything except for the fact that I was like, sure, I'll come. A lot of people don't like her. A lot of people think she's a mess. Like, they don't trust her. They think she's lying a lot.
And really hear each other out. Shaming, cussing, and shouting doesn't leave any room for that. In fact, I actually found myself completely shutting down.
I know a lot of people are gonna be like, Shane, shut up. Why do you care so much? Who cares? It's not your convention. Nobody blames you. Like, get over it, move on. I've heard that from a lot of people on the internet in my life. People are just like, you stop giving so much of a fuck about this. The reason I do is because I went into this thinking, oh, this is TanaCon. You know, it's gonna be all Tana's fans, and maybe I'll be walking around and it's like, oh, there's the grandpa of YouTube. Oh, that's Shane. Oh, that old guy who does conspiracies. Cool. But like, we're here for Tana. Why would anybody who watches Tana give a fuck about me? I don't know. What company is owned by a 20-year-old guy on a Segway? Like, what is that?
I'll take 3 questions.
Ooh, I'm feeling sick.
It's really gross. It's just creepy.
Hey everybody, if you haven't heard, I wrote a book and it is called Are You Okay? And it is your guide to mental health help. And yes, I know that link is going to take you to a US site, but it is available worldwide.
And the thing I think is hard for people who don't have this to understand is like, it's hard for us to view life without emotion or without caring. And that's what they live in. That's their experience.
So they're like, it's kind of like a robotic state of living, right? So
yeah, they're kind of like a robot.
And it felt a little stigma-y, very stigma-y, from the standpoint of very black and white thinking, which is like an active symptom of cluster B personality disorders.
I saw an image when I Googled it, and it said that a sociopath is like they're wearing a mask, and around certain people they use a different one. Like around you I'm going to be funny, around you I'm going to be sad, around you I'm going to be charming, around you but what's under the mask is the truth.
Yeah.
And that person is never seen.
No,
right?
I'd almost argue like doesn't really exist.
Okay, today's the big day. I had a panic attack in the middle of the night where I thought I was going to die. So there's that. Tomorrow is going to be when I really interview him and he comes to my house and we like talk about everything. So I feel like today I need to just get to know him, hang out with him, see what his day is like, see what his house is like, see what he likes to do when he's not filming a video. What is his life, I guess, is what I need to figure out. And I know people are going to want me to go in there and be like super aggressive and like right off the bat ask him a million questions and kind of be like, you're an asshole, and confront him or something. And I get it, because like that's tea. But I think I need to connect with him and maybe even have fun, which I know, I can't believe I'm saying that, but I want to have fun. I want to enjoy spending time with Jake Paul. I can't believe I just said that. Do sociopaths have a heart?
I don't believe so.
Whoa, okay. Wow. In my 10 years of YouTube, I've met a lot of YouTubers. I've definitely met a few where I've got that gut feeling.
We're talking about like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I said it's just gross and really creepy, I was saying that in relation to people who don't feel remorse for harmful acts. If you watch the video, that's what I'm referring to.
And like it literally, we're on dftba.com right now. It was the only website that really had any info on Katie that was like straight up. And it says that, it says it right here, I'm on my roommate's phone, that she hopes that by speaking candidly about mental health, which I feel like that's what I'm doing right now, and encouraging her views to reach out to get support they need, we can remove the stigma associated with getting help. I do not understand how calling a sociopath or someone with ASPD or any cluster B disorder, really in this case, because all of them are feeling attacked. You can see in my comment section. Read it, Katie. That it's just not okay. Like, holy shit. I felt in watching Shane's video and listening to her talk about that, I felt very upset. And
I've met a few that fit this, but I don't get that gut feeling. Are those people probably
better manipulators, or they know enough about you?
I literally, my heart.
It's really gross, I know.
Because there are a lot of people with ASPD, like myself and Skylar, that are pretty high functioning. We're well aware of the fact that we have ASPD and we're well aware of our flaws.
You know, you came on my podcast and you were very clued in. Like, you knew that I had struggled with an eating disorder. You knew by even looking at me. You're very intuitive about all that.
So like them, you might even be like friends with them because you don't know you're being manipulated.
Okay. Whoa. Okay. It's like, how realistic is it for me to know one?
They say 1 in 25.
I thought it was like 1 in 10,000 or something.
They make it seem like it's a really low percentage. It's a huge percentage of the population. It's the same as like schizophrenia or other mental illnesses that we know well and we see and we hear about. But even in school, they didn't really talk enough about this because it's icky. It's the dark side, essentially.
Why am I just learning?
Yeah, seriously.
This? Why is this something that nobody talks about? 1 in 25 is like a person in your class, or a person in my family for sure, or a person in my friend group, or like 100 people on YouTube or more.
Yeah, it's way more common. Once you kind of start paying attention to it, you can feel those people out.
Is it the person who's always happy? Is there like a mean characteristic? Because it's not like an evil looking person, right?